So there's been some outcry lately in regards to Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Sword and
Um,
Shield. When is this coming out?
Comes out in the fall.
On the Switch?
Yeah, in the fall.
It's gonna be a huge. It's gonna be a huge hit. It's gonna sell 1 billion copies.
Okay, so there's been some problems with it. The community's not happy. Basically, Masuda said that not all Pokemon are going to be transferable to Sword and Shield. Only ones that are in the Galar region. So the Galar region is where Pokemon Sword and Shield is going to take place.
I'm gonna turn it off. Go ahead.
Ghost phone. Yeah. So only Pokemon from the Galar region can be transferred in. What this means is that if it's not in Sword and Shield already, you can't transfer it in from another game.
So it's those different continents where Pokemon live and reside.
Yes.
And so what's the Galar region? Is that which one is that?
That one's going to be more like an England, UK sort of region.
Okay, so
they can't they can't transfer in the Pokemon from any of the previous games, which is a big deal for Pokemon players. Even going back to, you could send Pokemon up to Gold and Silver that you caught in Red and Blue. They redid essentially Generation 1 with Fire Red and Leaf Green so that you could get those original Pokemon and put them in Ruby, Emerald, Sapphire. And then even when they started releasing the first DS ones, you could put your Game Boy Advance cartridge in the bottom and transfer your Game Boy Advance Pokemon to the DS ones. And then there was an app that you could use to send Pokemon that you caught in the DS games into the 3DS ones. So
in theory, I could have created my own Pokemon, leveled up in Red and Blue on the original Game Boy, and then transfer them each successive console.
Theoretically, you could be using the same starter that you had in Red and Blue.
My super Pokemon from 20 years ago.
You could,
25
you could
years
have
ago,
them.
whatever it was.
And this is the first time that's not going to be available.
Okay.
Which is weird because they had just announced a new Pokemon Home and Trading Center. I think that was called Pokemon Home, which, would be the sort of thing you need if you're going to be doing a lot of trading back and forth. But then they came out and said that it wasn't going to be the case. They weren't putting everything in, or you wouldn't be able to use everything. It's just not going to be possible.
Okay.
This is even weirder because during Generation 7, which was Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon, they said they had done 3D versions of all the Pokemon to future-proof the series so that they could continue this.
And there's how many
on.
Pokemon? Over 700?
It's 850 something.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But so they did this so they could say that they were future-proofing it so this wouldn't be an issue moving forward. And now they're saying they can't do it. And it's not that they upgraded the models or anything like that. They just...
They can't do it, or they just don't want to?
They just don't want to, seems to be what it is. And everyone's impression is that the game is being rushed, and because the game is being rushed, they can't take the time to implement all of these Pokemon. It's one of those cases where I understand the disappointment. I do. Even to me, it's like, oh, that sucks, even though, quite frankly, I've never really taken advantage of that option to its fullest. But a lot of people are real bent out of shape about it.
Because they want to play their Pokemon from...
Yeah. And I understand it's a big part of the game, and to not be able to do it this time around is... Like I said, so it shows a Pikachu here. So if you have a Pikachu from the first generation, since Pikachu's in this one, you'll be able to transfer that Pikachu. But let's just say that your starter in the very first Pokemon was Bulbasaur. If Bulbasaur's not in this game already, you're not going to be able to transfer that Bulbasaur to the game.
So you won't be able to transfer as long as it's one that still exists?
Yes. But people are upset because that really it's narrowing down the playing field.
Well, we don't know.
No one knows what's going to be in there.
We don't know. There could be 450 or 500. Would that be enough to cover, 95% of people?
For hardcore Pokemon players, it's going to be a problem. For people who are just playing it, they'll probably be fine.
Just start over with a new one.
I think it's a I think it worries them because Game Freak has already said that Pokemon's not really their #1 priority anymore. And then you've got the announcement that this is, looking rushed and they're not putting all the Pokemon in.
Wait, is looking rushed just because not all the Pokemon are in, or is there another reason why?
Well, that, and it went from announcement to release, and it went fast. So
But this isn't a game you can put out in only even a year, though. They've been working on this game for a long time, probably.
Who knows? But anyways, so that's what's wrong. That's the problem people are having with it.
What was their statement? Statement released yesterday. Let's see.
It was
statement? Because there was outrage, and they said you're lazy. I saw people saying they're calling them lazy. That's kind of fucked up.
I don't think it's lazy. I think rushing the game is probably it. They're probably working as hard as they can. I don't think that they're being lazy.
Thank you to all our fans for caring so deeply about Pokemon. Recently, I shared the news that some Pokemon cannot be transferred to Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. I've read all your comments and appreciate your love and passion for Pokemon. Just like all of you, we are passionate about Pokemon, and each and every one of them is very important to us. After so many years of developing the Pokemon video games, this was a very difficult decision for me. I'd like to make one thing clear. Even if a specific Pokemon is not available in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, that does not mean it will not appear in future games. The world of Pokemon continues to evolve. The Galar region offers new Pokemon to encounter, trainers to battle, and adventures to embark on. We are pouring our hearts into these games, and we hope you will look forward to joining us on this new journey. Okay, that's reasonable. I mean, he's saying that, maybe part of his devil's advocate. He wants people to play and maybe get closer to know the new Pokemon in there versus just playing the same one they have for, 25 years.
It's true, but there's usually things that lock. I mean, you can just lock it to endgame. I mean, they kind of did that with Pokemon Black and White, where you can't do it until after you beat the Elite Four, essentially the final bosses.
Oh, then you can play it.
And then you can start putting them in. Black and White had 150 all new Pokemon for the story mode, and then afterwards you were able to bring in the other Pokemon.
So if in some of the games, if you bring in your past Pokemon that's leveled up, is he like a super one to start? Like he can just crush everyone?
No, because that's been worked into Pokemon since the very beginning. Pokemon will only listen to you based on what badges you have from gym leaders or what you've completed. So if you put in a level 99 Pokemon and you're just starting the game, it's not going to listen to you. It's not going to do anything. It won't.
What are you transferring over then? Like what essence is transferred over?
Endgame is the big part of Pokemon where you start getting all your Pokemon together, your new teams, and
then you get your supercharged one at the end.
Yeah, and then that's when you're doing online battles, and that's when you're doing local battles and things like that.
Okay, so it's not the single game that you're worried about. It's after that. Okay. So people, if that Pokemon still is in there, will have that. If not, they're out of luck with that.
Yes.
How many do you transfer over from each game? Is it usually a single or is it like a bunch?
I mean, people can transfer the whole collection of if they want.
So just about every player will be able to transfer at least one or two, it sounds like, it, depending on how big the library is.
Sure.
The odds of them not transferring at least a few of them is probably small as hell, especially if they put in a chunk of them. Okay.
I think for them, it's just the principle. Like I said, I'm not that upset, but I do understand it.
Okay.
I don't know. Once again, the people who are freaking the fuck out need to stop. Stop freaking out.
Don't buy the game if it bothers you that much.
Stop being a child. Complaining is one thing.
Well, here's
obviously
the thing.
being upset is one thing.
Let's
But
see the list.
Don't. It doesn't matter. It's not going to matter what the list is. There's always going to be someone who's missing something. It's the fact that they're not all there.
Okay. But most people will be able to transfer over most of them and be fine. But it's like they're not going to get Pikachu in here, or a lot of the popular ones are going to be. To me, if I was doing a game like this, and maybe they don't have the resources to redo all 850 and add all the bells and whistles, but I'm like, okay, what if we do like the 150 most popular ones, some weird ass ones, and then we got whatever the 100 new ones we'll put in there. And that'll satisfy like 80% of people.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, I'll be happy with it as long as the game is good.
How many different Pokemon do people like go back to? Is there? I mean, do people use every single one of the 850 over? They find their one they like.
People just like to have them.
This is like a Smash Brothers problem. People now expect every single fucking fighter to be in going forward because they never dropped any out beforehand. They've created this problem.
No, they dropped plenty of them in Smash.
Well, they brought them all back for
this one.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. I wish people wouldn't overreact. I wish
Well,
this wasn't the case.
I can
I
see.
wish people wouldn't, be threatening.
Well, yeah, I can see where people are like, well, this is an attack on my childhood because I won't potentially be able to hang out with a digital creation that was around in the 90s. I get that.
I don't even think it's so much that. It's
Well,
just that something that has been with the game basically since the beginning, that was such a big part of it, is gone.
No, but it's there if you so say my 5 characters that I bring over are all still there. My game's not affected at all. I bring over, let's see, Mocha and Fajita and Cuddles. They come on board, and I can go fight with them. And Chemo. I'm just naming cats now that I've known.
Chemo's a good
And
cat.
Sushi. When I have these characters, I'm fine. But yeah, I understand if Ian can't get Spike in because Spike's a Poliwhirl. Is that one?
Sure.
Poliwhirl's not brought in. It's one of the 3 Pokemons I know. Poliwhirl's not brought in, so now Ian's mad because he can't experience
How is that one of the 3 Pokemon?
Because I had a stuffed Poliwhirl from Seaside Heights in like '98 that I
Gotcha.
won.
Okay.
Because it looked cool because it looked like Twilight Zone symbol. Is he a popular one? Or she, whatever the hell it is?
They can be both. I like Poliwhirl. I don't know if it's necessarily popular, but
So
like it.
are you surprised I know what Poliwhirl is?
It's just a random one.
It's one of the 850. They created 850 of these things, of these plush monsters they've created. Holy crap! All right, I don't have anything to say. I'm trying to think about if I was that attached to this, how much I would care that my digital creation is not going to be there for this go around, but might be there, a few years from now in the next one. My Poliwhirl named Sushi or Chemo.